All right. Well, we are likely live. There's a delay, so
All right.
welcome, everyone.
Welcome to our space, to our Unbecoming Karen live stream in January of 2026. Um, we tonight we're going to be our topic will be starting with talking about the killing of Renee Good in Minnesota last week. But before we jump into that, I want to just sort of reinforce or set the container by talking about some really important things that uh, are really necessary in order to be able to have these kinds of conversations safely and constructively. Because our intention here is for healing and evolution and, um, yeah, keeping the conversation really constructive and healing. So, what's really important in that, whether you're new to us, whether you're here live with us, yay, or if you're watching the recording, we're all here in this space together holding each other. And it's important that you honor your body, meaning that if you feel yourself with what we're talking about, getting uncomfortable, getting squirmy, we talk about having the squirmy conversations. Notice that as your body responding to what we're saying. If you need to step away, if you need to step back, if you need to get off the call, that's okay. That's honoring your body because your body's telling you something. Don't push through it. Don't override your body. Don't judge yourself. That's number one. You can always come back. These are recorded. They'll be on our YouTube channel. You can always come back and watch them at another time and in the right amount, titrating the amount that you're engaging with it. Another thing is in these conversations, we realize that jargon is real, that the way that we talk, some of the phrases we use may not be familiar to you. If you don't understand something or are confused by something, then please let us know in the chat. There's nothing wrong with you for not understanding what we're saying. It's just that we've been in spaces together for a long time and have a certain way of seeing and talking about things. So if you don't understand something, it doesn't mean that you're any judgment, that you're stupid or anything like that. So please just ask for clarification. So that way you can be really involved in this conversation. Another really, really important thing is for any comments that might be placed in the chat, which we encourage. We really want to hear from you. We want you to be part of this conversation. This is a judgment-free space, no shame, no blame. We realize that these conversations, by their very definition, are awkward and imperfect. And I know I've navigated that myself. And it's like being willing to say the thing that you're kind of afraid to say. But always, and even with what the three of us are saying, we're stumbling through it too. But to always assume best intentions of other people. And if you find yourself getting triggered by what somebody else says, check in with your body, navigate that. But assume best intentions. Um, let's see. So this is the space where we practice. I'm reading just to remind myself. So if you notice myself reading, we're practicing fierce vulnerability. No one here and nothing that you say or feel is bad or wrong. We've been programmed to believe things that we're not even aware that we believe, to carry these things in our bodies. And these conversations are about uncovering those things and through sharing them in a space where you can be heard and held, allowing them to be released from the body and to no longer be there. We all came by this stuff very honestly, so no shame in anything that you might notice yourself feeling or thinking. Notice when you're feeling judgmental or righteous, better than others, any of those things, worse than others. Those are all part of the programming. So just be gentle with yourself and be curious about what's coming up. Breathing is your friend. If you notice something that's squirmy, deep breath, remember where you are. You're in a loving space, and we're right here with you in all of it. Like I said earlier, please use the chat. We will check into it from time to time and address what's there if we can. So please use that. We intend for this call to be an hour, but we also are not sort of rigid timekeepers, so it may run over a bit. But feel free to drop off anytime you need to. You can always come back to the recording. And going back to the topic of triggers, we expect there to be triggers. Um, we actually believe that triggers are your ally in healing this stuff because they're going to point to where there's still healing that needs to be done. So if you get triggered by something, it doesn't mean there's anything wrong with you. It doesn't mean there's anything wrong with what was said. It just means, oh, there's something there for me to look at. Um, so it doesn't mean it's easy, but it's doable. And we can support you in that to a degree. And depending on the depth of the trigger, you may need to get some support around that and doing some healing work with it. And lastly, before Clarissa leads us in a drop in, and then we'll jump into the conversation after that, we just want to acknowledge that we are not for everyone. You know, the space we hold is very specific. We're three spiritual healers. And so, with our focus on healing, we're going to do some healing work at the end. The language we use is going to have more spiritual bent to it. And so, if it's not for you, that's totally fine. There's so many other resources out there. Just know that we love you, we support you in whatever's right for you, and we trust you in what's right for you. So, with all that being said, I'm now going to hand it over to Clarissa to do a drop in for us to to set the container.
All right, welcome everybody. So, as we drop in, what we mean by that is that we are coming into this sacred space together. Some people might call it a meditation. This also has a spiritual intention that we are setting this space to be of service to you, to us in our journeys, to the collective, to all beings everywhere, including the earth, the sky, where there is harm done by these systems that we are seeking to unravel and untangle ourselves from, and where we want to plant the seeds of healing, of peace, of abundance, of wellness, of connection. So think of this as a space to fall into your heart, maybe softly closing your eyes or doing a gentle gaze at the floor if that feels more comfortable. Let yourself be present to whatever degree you're able. So honoring that we are all coming from various stages of dysregulation. It's just a product of being in this culture, being raised in this culture. And that dysregulation serves the the systems of oppression that we are seeking to release from our bodies, release from our future, as we are the ones who are here to set that up and establish what this future looks like. So letting yourself just fall into this space, coming fully present into your body, listening to my voice, listening to your breath, if that's a little easier to track, just in and out. Honoring your body. It might not always be what you think of as perfect, but it is your faithful servant carrying you through moment after moment after moment. So just taking a quick moment of gratitude for everything that it does, seen, unseen, known, unknown. Honoring that gratitude has immense powers. It can transform the deepest anger, bitterness, resentment. It brings peace. And before that, tolerance, acceptance. Riding that wave of gratitude, letting it expand a little more, engulfing this space, engulfing this time, honoring that this is the time in history where we are seeing more clearly than ever what is unhealthy, what is conflicting, what is separating. Ooh, and that in and of itself is a gift. It is certainly not comfortable. It is certainly not easy. It does not often feel safe, but this time is happening in service so that we can see with awakened eyes, with a greater tool set, with more connection to those who are seeking the path of healing and well-being for all, what the problems are, what the roots are. And we have more and more tools than we've ever had before to tend to those roots and to do it from a place of best intention for all. So letting those parts of ourselves come forward who feel ostracized, who feel demonized, who feel justified, who feel angry, who feel paralyzed, who feel overwhelmed, and let them be seen, let them be held in this space, let them be recognized and loved for the protection that they are, for the role that they have, for the illumination that they bring, such that through these conversations, through these healing moments, we get to bring to light in this container those parts of ourselves that are imperfect, that are what somebody might see as flawed, what we might see as flawed. And we lean into trust. We lean into divine spirit flowing through all of it and allowing us this space to be vulnerable together, to be in the unknown, but certain of our path forward. And that is that we are here for change, and we are here for change together. So taking a deep breath in, letting all of that reverberate through your body, through your system. Asking Mother Earth to rise up and hold us energetically as we have this conversation together. Asking our divine teams, our ancestors who have been around for this whole shebang before we dropped in, asking them to come in, surround us, bring wisdom, bring courage, bring illumination for the path ahead. And may this conversation, may all beings everywhere be blessed. Taking another deep breath in and release. And as you're ready, and to the degree that you want, come back mentally into this space. If it feels good to let yourself still be held by Mother Earth, feeling your ancestors and guides at your back, I invite you to invite that sensation to stay and let it hold you and nurture you through this conversation. And as you're ready, let your eyes drift back open. If you haven't, coming back into the space for this big conversation.
Thank you both. It's nice to presence like that, especially when there's just like so much kind of like chaos energy in the field right now, especially around everything that's happening in Minnesota and with the loss of life of Renee Good and our administration's complete unwillingness to investigate or even name that it was unlawful or unnecessary. There's just a lot in the field. I've been feeling a lot. I know like my body anxiety has been a lot higher this week. And I track that honestly through like not feeling hunger and like noticing, like I'm usually really good about like, and this week it's been like, oh, it's past noon. It's time for me to eat. Oh, it's past this. I better make myself, so I've been noticing that myself. I've also been noticing like this like incessant like need to like know, like getting on my phone and like needing to know what's happening. Even though like frankly like it's not like there's always new news and anyways Did you either of you want to share anything before I'm just like rambling?
Well, I too have been like noticing that I'm just wanting to be on reading the news about it. And I haven't been watching the video over and over and over. I watched it once or
Yep.
twice just to see it a few times. And I've been reading the different interpretations, like the two, like the one that I believe based on what I saw in the videos, and then the other side that's telling a story that I can't match up with what I saw in the video that I saw, the videos that I saw. While also, because of who I am and who we are and kind of the space we hold, I I've been wanting to get into the finger pointing and the hatred directed at quote them, the lies, like Christine Nome saying the car was stuck in a snowbank. I'm like, it's like the emperor's new clothes, right? And so there has been the part of me that's been wanting to get righteous and furious and like indignant and just basically the energy of what we are trying to heal of anger, hatred, destruction. So it's a challenging place to navigate, and I'm so grateful for this conversation and the space that we hold of as hard as it is. It's like not making any of that wrong because yeah, it's justified. That's where it gets hard, right? When I feel justified. Yeah, but this is, you know, you can always take it and go, yeah, but this is a situation where that's all called for. Like, because I am just, it took me a while to grok that her partner was in the car with her
And her dog.
and her dog.
Could you
And
imagine witnessing that?
5 minutes
Like,
earlier could have been her daughter, right? Like,
I just,
yeah. So
it's
I can put
heartbreaking.
myself in that car as a lesbian, right? I can. So there's just a lot to it, and then to see the response from the administration has been, let's send more of them, let's foment more chaos and um, violence and animosity, and we're going to throw kerosene on the fire rather than trying to like manage it. We're just going to flare that up. In fact, now we might even send the army in if you all don't, as if the protesters are the ones causing the unrest, right? It's actually not. So now the answer is to send in the army. Like, so it's a lot to navigate, and I'm grateful to be here having this conversation because I'm really kind of curious to hear, where this conversation takes us in it. I've also been very struck finding myself watching today. I saw some video of the Somali community coming out and feeding the protesters, which blows my mind that they're putting themselves out on the street with food when they're especially ones being vilified by the administration as if they're quote garbage, right? And here they are bringing food, homemade food in boxes and giving it to the protesters and thanking them for. I mean, I get my whole body just had like a chill go through it to think about like that's what it's about, right? Um, like thank you for having our backs. Thank you for trying. Thank you for caring. Thank you for seeing us, you know? And then also is the peace march with the Buddhist monks that are marching from Texas to DC, right? Like they're in South Carolina right now, and I've just been seeing a lot of footage of that. Just the way that they're just walking and talking to people, and I mean, for that to be happening now in the midst of this, it's just the contrast, right? The contrast is so intense. Um, so yeah, so that's what I have to say right now. And I'm sure there'll be more as the conversation evolves. Yeah.
Mm, thank you, Babs. Yeah, so it's been interesting. So I noticed a couple days of what felt a little bit like floating, I guess. And those were the days when I spent more time than normal on social media, on YouTube, hearing all the different people's assessments of what had transpired. Um, and at the end of day two, a poem came out of me that I don't usually write poetry. It just occasionally comes through, and it felt like what needed to be expressed. And then I moved into a place of understanding, I guess, of connection to the big picture. And Kristen, I think it was you right before we started recording who said that you had just heard someone say, this is like America is not blah, 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 but we are being revealed.
That was Babs.
Yeah, I had heard. Yeah, the United States is not falling apart; it's being revealed.
Yes, thank you.
Yeah.
Um, and I feel like it's really easy to hear that and to feel the truth of it and to get incredibly hopeless. And my path has led me through healing, through hearing master teachers, through the truth in my own body to sense into all of this needs to happen because this has been the truth of our country since it was formed. And as we were talking about before, this is our ancestry. Our people, way back in the day, before anyone set foot from Europe onto these lands, our people were colonized in our own homelands and we were brutalized. And that lineage is what carried on into this country that then became America. And it's the United States of America. So like there's actually way more America than the United States of America. It's just more appropriation of like, well, we're the important part, right? So we
Right.
just
We are
the
America.
general title. It's
Yeah.
This has been happening to Black and brown bodies for forever. And it is time that it comes to a head, and we are such, we have been groomed as such that we will be comfortable and complacent and ignorant until we have a reason not to be. And I hate that it takes this level of atrocity and this much of an affront that feels personal for us to rise up. And yet here we are. And I'm not saying, so when I say that, it sounds like I am putting everybody in one bucket, and that is not what I'm trying to do. Like there are certainly degrees to which we have, people have taken it upon themselves to incite change and liberation for all beings. And I'm so grateful for those people who have paved this path, because now there is this collective uprising, the likes of which we have not seen and we would not see, especially if this government was like, oh, oops, we are prosecuting this guy. He should not have done that. So sorry. Let's make amends to Renee Good's family and let's lock this guy up. We would not be seeing this uprising if they were actually humane about this in any way, shape, or form. It is further illuminating the dis-ease that is in this air that we are all breathing all the time.
Yeah, and you know, it's interesting because I want a presence too that like this pattern isn't new, right? Like law enforcement very frequently kills people and does not and are not held accountable, right? Like very frequently that happens. It's not as frequent that it's a white woman that they kill, right? Which is where like why this is rattling us more, right? Because like there's this perception of like the white women is who white supremacy is supposed like protects, but not when she sides with Black and brown people, right? Like, and so like there's this like cognitive dissonance or this like warping of like the Americans, like white American psyche, right? Where like we're like, oh shit, it could happen to us too, right? Because like we've been so desensitized to the loss of life when it is a Black person or a brown person, right? Like that whole like trope of like who's the first person to die in a horror movie, who is always like the expendable character, who's just like the casual person who gets hurt, right? Like we have been desensitized to, and like even before that, right? Like any like slavery, you know what I mean? It's like we have like literally desensitized ourselves to, and I mean there's even been like effed up like scientific studies that are like Black people don't feel the same pain as white people, and it's like, okay, what? Like we're all people, like and so, you know, I mean, like that's justified like so many atrocities, but like now that it's a white woman, a white mother, right? Like we're having to face the truth, right? Where it's like, this isn't about race, right? This is about if you stand against the system and like if you are perceived as dangerous to the powers that be, right? And the other thing I want to present, Stu, not that I was like super deep into like reading what Project 2025 was or whatever like it was called, but like I'm pretty sure this was anticipated. Like Black and brown folks had been and organizers and thought leaders and intellectual academics, all the people were like, this is going to be really dangerous for us if we allow him to be elected. Like this is going to be really, really dangerous if we allow this to happen. And for a lot of people, like we couldn't imagine how dangerous because we never had to live through Jim Crow. We never watched our ancestors get beaten or strung up or, you know what I mean? Like, well, we did, but it was like you mentioned, Clarissa, like so many generations ago that we've forgotten. I also want to name too. So Babs, do you remember when we read My Grandmother's Hands? Because Resma's Mencken, he's from Minnesota. And one of the things that he like brings up in that book, My Grandmother's Hands, is he talks about how like I don't know what specific year it was, but like in Minnesota, like most of the people who were lynched were actually white. Because they were standing with Black and brown people, because they were seen as someone who had betrayed the white race to side with, you know what I mean? And so it's like, as white folks, like we forget that like it has been a safety strategy for us to separate ourselves from communities of color. Not that that's good or like good, but like we did that. And now like here we are. Like, yeah.
God, there's just so much in it.
Yeah. The other thing that's interesting too is like them calling her a domestic terrorist. That is always how they have gotten away with like criminalizing people fighting for liberation. I mean, she was like, I wouldn't, you know what I mean? Like, you know, like there are so many like, so I don't know if I mentioned this to you guys, but in college I went to school for gender and women's studies. So a lot of what I studied was like systems of oppression, and movement work, organizing, like how thought changes and organizing. And, you know, so I studied like the women's movement and like gay rights, like all the movements. Right. And, I remember like when I started studying like the Black Power movement and like the Black liberation movement, it really was when I like realized how like systemically racist, I mean, like our government is, because like the Black folks who were organizing for their liberation were being like tracked, you know what I mean? Like they were being followed by the police. Their phones were being tapped. They were being put on domestic terrorist watch lists. They were being like terrorized essentially, right? And it really like speaks to how like, right, like the Black Lives Matter movement, like we're not free till we're all free. Like that's why Black liberation is like so threatening. Because like when Black people are free, we're all free. You know, like we all are free with them. Like anyway, but like for white folks, I guess like looping it back to like this conversation, like it's our time now to step forward. It's our time to fight for civil rights. It's our time to like say like white supremacy is not serving us. Like we need to stop.
Yeah, and given that our bodies are rooted in this, it is not safe to be separate from the system. It is not safe to join forces with those who have been oppressed because that puts us in harm's way. It feels essential that we are tending to our bodies and our nervous systems with the deepest level of care we have ever given, and the deepest level of intention, awareness. So, even just checking in with our bodies throughout these days, tuning into how am I feeling right now? If I had a name for it, what would it be? Where does it live in my body? Does it need something from me? Am I hungry? Do I need water? Do I need to go to the bathroom? And building in these opportunities to get to know um, that part of ourselves that we have overstepped so frequently in service to adhering to the system. It is such like a beautiful basic thing we can come back to, and it doesn't feel basic because we've been so taught to ignore it, but like simply going to the bathroom when we need to go to the bathroom. That was one of the things that I learned in Kairos, was just like how often do I stay on a call for 20 minutes after I realize I really need to pee, and I just deal with it because the call will be over soon. But if I intentionally start to rebuild that connection with my body, I can start to notice new things, and it can inform me what I need in order to come more and more into a place of alignment and regulation so that I have the bandwidth and the capacity for this fight. I don't usually like calling it a fight, but that is the word that wants to come through right now because it is not going to be like an overnight thing that we settle it with, reasonable voices and civility around a table. This is going to be something that we're in it to win it,
Yeah.
and we're in it to win it for all people. That includes the people who are doing the oppressing, because we're not free till they're free. Lord knows they will keep oppressing until they are free,
Right.
and we will keep having people to fight until they're free. And so, what would it be like to nurture ourselves so fiercely, to be such stalwart um, protectors of ourselves, of our nervous systems, of our needs, that we have the resources we need to make it through this and be able to do it from insight, from access to our higher faculties, because our amygdalas are not always hijacked by our nervous system that is dysregulated.
Yeah, I love all of it. I'm sorry. Are you
Please.
gonna jump in? I love all of this that you're saying, and I'm right there with you. And I love how you towards at the end there about how then we're the most resourced when we're the most in touch with our own bodies and regulated. And the other piece of it that I'm really feeling as you're talking is like it's actually the most radical act to claim sovereignty over our own bodies,
Mm.
because I think that's part of what we saw unfold, and that what we're seeing in Minnesota is how dare you claim ownership over your own body and not get out of that car when I told you to, and
Mm.
not come out of your house when I tell you to, and not, like leave the country when I tell you to. Like I can tell you what to do with your body.
Mm.
And for someone to just be like, no, I'm not getting out of the car. I'm going to drive away. And then, how dare you? I'm going to put three bullets in your head. So I feel like that whole, like, the more that we can become the advocates for our bodies and so deeply connected to our bodies that
Yeah.
um it's such an important piece. And also what's coming to me right now, I'm reminded of something I read, and who knows how accurate this is, but it's a story that stays with me. Is somebody was talking about interviewing Nelson Mandela when he was in prison, and somebody said, how do you do it? Like, how do you survive this? And that he wasn't expressing animosity toward his captors, and they were like, how do you do this? And he said, well, they have my body, but they don't have me.
Oof.
So it's like
Yep.
both, right? It's like on the one
Yes.
hand,
Yes.
yeah, it's both of those things. Like I think that's part of what we're seeing with these ICE agents and Border Patrol, actually, from
Yep.
what I hear, are the most violent of them all, more so than ICE. It's just that power, that control. Like we have the badge, we have the gun, we have the masks, where, and you have to listen to what we say when we say it. Even if I'm telling you to leave and I'm telling you to stay, you still better do the right thing, you know? So yeah,
I mean, that is like complying, like doing what we're told. You know what I mean? Like that is what like that's like what they want, right? Like so many of our systems in our school, like so many things are like built for that purpose in mind, right? Like to do exactly as we are told. And so like I mean, yeah, that act of defiance of saying no is huge. You know what I mean? And right, like noticing where in our body, like, like we are having to fight a safety thing, right? Like, because to comply might feel safer, but it's actually not safer for our soul or for the betterment of our community, and like that piece of, like when you're talking about border patrol, like it just making me think of like the slave patrollers, right? Where like they would like deputize like any white person, and it became like their legal obligation to like root out and like capture black people, kidnap them, and then hand them back to the person who had enslaved them. Like that was a whole. Then there's just like bands of thugs roaming around. You know what I mean? Like have either of you either read or watched 12 Years a Slave?
no, I've wanted to. Is it true? And I would have to look this up to see. But somehow I believe that like that's the origin of police departments
It
for the
is.
most part, right?
Oh,
Is
hundo
the
percent.
slave hunters, right? Or,
Yes,
yeah.
hundo percent. And also like something I learned this week was that it was after the civil rights movement that all of the cities got huge bumps in their like police departments. And then it was after like Rodney King was murdered, I think, that they started like bringing in Vietnam veterans to create SWAT teams to quell urban unrest. And so like this whole system of policing and like the military, like the like what is like prison industrial complex, like militarized industrial complex, right? Like all of those things, like military like contracts and like contracts with like all of the private businesses are making so much money off of locking people up, off of supplying weapons, off of all of the things. Like this is an overpriced money making machine at the expense of all of us. You know what I mean? Like
Human lives. Yeah.
yeah, like yeah, it's disgusting. It's like, and frankly, like it's why I have been against prisons for most of my like adult life since when I first started awakening to systems of oppression and inequity, right? Where like we can't actually have the kind of society that we want and have and just incarcerate everyone. You know what I mean? Like we have the highest percentage of incarceration globally. We just like lock everyone up. That's just what we do. It's like
Yeah.
it's
And it's
insanity.
largely people of color, right?
So many
Right.
poor people, people
Yeah.
with mental illnesses, people struggling with substance addiction, anyone who is inconvenient, anyone who doesn't fit into the mold, anyone who doesn't comply. You know what I mean? It's like it's like it like makes me feel like a crazy person sometimes. It's like so infuriating. It's like, and like so many people who are just like, boop, 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 let me just get Starbucks and I will go to Target and then we will, and I'm like, oh my God, like, what are we doing? Like, what's happening? Like,
Yeah. And also, like with the detention centers, all of it is so out of sight, out of mind.
oh my God, I know.
And we have been so conditioned to carry on with our lives.
Literally.
And we have the privilege that we can. Um, and the information that we get comes through that filter of like what they want us to know. So the gaslighting is so prevalent and powerful because it's not just it's not just them keeping themselves safe. It is us keeping ourselves safe. Because if we don't know what's happening, we don't have to do anything about it, and our status quo remains the same.
That's right.
Because even often if we want to do something, we don't know what to do. We don't know how to get started. We don't know what would be effective. We don't know how to take steps forward without endangering ourselves now that we're in a climate like this.
Yep.
And that is like that self-preservation is like the system's greatest weapon.
Yep. Absolutely.
It's so true, right? Because it's like, we've talked about this before, but like that like willingness to put our life on the line, right? For other people, like loving so fiercely that like I will put myself in harm's way to protect you. Like that's the kind of energy that like we, especially as like white spiritual women, like need to be calling forth, right? Because like for too long, like we have been the tools of the master to make sure everyone complies, to teach our children to comply, to force compliance. You know what I mean? And like to ostracize anyone who doesn't comply. And like that, like we don't need to be doing that anymore. Like we need to stop if any part of us is like trying to do that, like we need to be like encouraging dissent, like encouraging critical thinking, encouraging like another possibility.
Yeah.
Yep. Yeah, it really does get all mixed up, doesn't it, with trying to stay safe. Like, okay, if I comply, then I'll be safe. But what we're seeing very clearly
No.
now is even if you comply, you're not safe. Like, you're just not safe. You know, if
Well,
you
and
get out of
frankly,
the car, then you disappear.
well,
And
and what
next
does
thing you know, you're in a
compliance get
prison in
us?
El Salvador. Right.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, I don't really think our society's that great. So compliance hasn't gotten us anything. Like, you know what I mean? Like, ooh, we get to order from Amazon.
Right. It keeps the people in power because do what we say.
Yeah,
And we'll
and
then we'll tell you to do something different. And then we'll tell you to do something. Yeah.
Yeah. And we are so kept in a state of overwhelm that we don't have the bandwidth to question. We don't have the bandwidth to figure out a different way. All we have the bandwidth for is the convenience that they keep feeding us, which keeps us sick, which keeps us impoverished, which keeps us at their fingertips, being like the little puppets. I'm sure these people laugh at us all the time because of what they have created in this nation of like a bunch of puppets who are just needing the convenience that they keep serving us and we keep willingly paying for with our health, with our dollars, with our time, with our labor. And now we are breaking free. And it is uncomfortable as fuck. And we're in unknown territory here. But now we get to see what's happening bigger and more in our face than ever because there are courageous people who are documenting and sharing.
Right.
So we get to see all the sides of the story. We get to feel into our bodies like, oh, that is not right. What do I do? And there are all these like beautiful spiritual people online now who are like, let's take a breath. And helping us find our way back to ourselves.
Totally.
But wow, what a time.
yeah. And I feel like the next step for like us as white folks is finding our way back to each other.
Yes.
Because like there's only so far we can go alone. And so if we just keep breathing by ourselves, like it's unmanageable. We can't handle it, right? Like, but we need, like Clarissa, before when you were talking about like the well from which we resource ourselves, right? Like we need to come back into the way that community resources us, right? Just how all of us were like, I'm so glad we're having this conversation. I'm so glad we're doing this. It's because in this coming together, like we are resourced. We are filled up. We are reminded we're not alone. We're reminded we're not crazy. We're reminded, of our strength. And so like as white folks, like that has been the thing that's been kind of taken from us is like our communities, our trust of each other, our ability to work together. And so like that's what's next for us, right? Is like, okay, so now I know how to breathe and regulate myself so that I can go to a community meeting and sit through it when I'm triggered. Right? Now I know how to come back to my center so that I can go and do the thing. And when it becomes overwhelming, I can come home. And when that person says something that triggers me or that ICE agent gets in my face, I can stay grounded. You know what I mean? It's like these tools weren't meant to be used alone in our houses. These tools were meant so that we can come back to each other.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I think that's one of the things that's so painful in watching the videos of the agents, whatever agency they're from, and their gear and their masks, smashing windows in cars and dragging people out of cars is talk about disconnection as humans, right? It's like the exact opposite of connection. It's severance and violence and abuse. I mean, it's abuse, right? And to just see that happening, like state sanctioned abuse, state celebrated abuse, like we're gonna send more and make America great again. And it's just, yeah, it's just so inhuman and unhuman. And to just watch it happening so much, it's like fingernails on a blackboard down my nervous system spine, like it's like,
Yeah, what is coming up for me right now is happen to have this book right behind me. I just happened to dig it out yesterday. See No
oh,
Stranger by Valerie Kaur. So she is an activist, um, among many other things. And she talks about revolutionary love and how it is this love that transcends all of this because we know it all came from the same roots. Like we came from the same roots. And the dysfunction comes from the same place of, sorry, this is my own assessment of what she's saying. So, but we are coming from the same place. The dysregulation comes from the same place. It comes from wanting safety, wanting security, and it has been misguided over centuries, millennia, right? And so she talks about being in LA at the protests recently, and she and her compatriots being some of the people who brought flowers, and they stood across from the ICE agents for a long time. And when they were leaving, she walked up to an ICE agent and laid the flowers at his feet. And then she stood up and walked away, and she heard, "Ma'am." And she said, like, her blood went cold. And she didn't know what was going to happen. She turned around and he said, "Thank you." And I feel like, I mean, there's one train of thought that, like, maybe they will just burn themselves out. But maybe the call to action is to hold that humanity that exists inside them. All of these people were children. All of them had that innocence. They had that purity. They had that human essence, that need for love. And something happened. We all know what this culture does to people. And so could it be our deepest work here to first regulate ourselves, but then to find our way back to each other including and encompassing every single one of us. Even when it's hard. It's hard as fuck. Yeah. Even when it's like the most unnatural thing we could possibly think to do.
Yeah. And the most essential. Without that, here we are, right?
I mean, it's the most radical thing to do, to love your enemy.
Yes.
Right.
Yes. And that's the teaching of Jesus in the first place. That right. And that's not to say to have any of this be okay.
Right.
But it is to find that humanity in each other, because that is what's going to bridge this gap and ultimately bring an end to the perpetuation and the cycle of violence.
It's not funny, but like recently I was just talking to my partner about how like accountability really only comes when there's love. Because if I don't love you, like I'm not going to waste my time trying to like hold you accountable, get you to see a different way, like that, like loving call in to be like, hey, like you've been doing this kind of problematic thing. Like I really love you. And like, do you know that you're doing this problematic thing? Like that is an act of love, right? In my opinion, right? But like, that's not culturally, I don't know if that's seen as an act of love, but in my opinion, it's like, I only do that sort of thing for people that I love, that like, hey, did you know, like, and it almost feels like there is that need for the calling, like some calling in. Because the other thing that was coming up when you were saying that, Clarissa, is like, they're following orders.
Yep.
That's what they're doing. Right? Like, they're following orders. And like I was recently just reading a book, like a fiction book, where one of the characters was like saying to another character, like, do you think like they would really kill him? And the guy was like, if I was ordered to, I would. You know, and it's like that kind of like extreme of like this is what happens when we just like hand over our will to someone else and we just do what we're told no matter what. No matter what, right? And it's like, and then people just say, oh well, I'm just following orders, as if that like negates their responsibility.
Right. Yeah. And you know, and I think about, like, I try to imagine myself behind one of those masks with the armor and the guns, and like to do those things. I mean, I can't imagine. There's probably a lot of different psyches involved, right? But I mean, one of them very likely is just core fear and a belief that they, quote, the ones that they're trying to deport, the illegals as they call them, right? Like, because that's the way that the administration messages it so effectively, and people buy it hook, line, and some people buy it hook, line, and sinker. Like, I mean, and this was when he first came down the elevator stairs back in whatever year it was before his first term. Mexicans, they're criminals and rapists, right? Like, and people believe it,
Yeah.
right? So when they see people of color, they feel afraid. I mean, that's part of the programming, right? Is to make us afraid, to believe that they're a threat. So if my nervous system, and I've had experiences where I've had full on like fight, flight reactions simply because I found myself driving down a street in Harlem with all black people on the street. This was a long time ago. This was back in the 80s. But I mean, I had a full on, like, I'm going to die. And it was just black people going to the grocery store and going to work and talking to each other. Like, but the way my body reacted was as if they all had, you know, weapons pointed at my head and were ready to. And so I really appreciate, like, I was never, I wasn't aware that I learned that I carried that in my body. I didn't have overt racism in my life growing up. I was never, you know, I never remember any of that, but yet there it was in my body, right? So when I think about bodies, and I think in my grandmother's hands, it's so beautifully done. Like, we carry this, it's in our bodies. So we there's reaction based on what you're carrying in your body. It's subconscious, right? A lot of it. And so like for them, meaning them being the agents of all the whatever agencies, to do the things that they're doing, where they can drop out of helicopters over a residential building in Chicago and at whatever AM in the morning in the cold, and drag kids naked out of bed and zip tie them. Like, to be able to do that, either you're so deeply disconnected from your own humanity, or you carry, and or who knows, right? We know that the human psyche is way more complex than either or, but or you carry some beliefs that are so deep that you believe they are a threat, and I need to do whatever I can to eliminate that threat. That you could believe a 6-year-old with dark skin is a threat, so that you can put zip ties on them and drag them out screaming and crying, right? Like, so it's very easy to want to vilify them, right? And hate them. I had a conversation recently with someone talking about how, like, the far leftists, she was saying, and I asked her, I was like, what do you mean by that? And it was sort of this whole concept of vilifying white men, right?
Yep.
And the patriarchy, and white men this and white men that. And, you know, when you have a son and you're white, you have a white son that you're raising, it's kind of like, I don't want my kid to feel like there's something horrible about them because they're a white male. So there is something wrong with that vilification of white men, right? And I was trying to just say, well, that's not, to me, not what we're trying to do, or the point. And white men have created some real harms historically in the world. and there's a privilege that goes along with being a white male. And like, I don't ever want to have conversations that are like, they're terrible and they're horrible and they suck and they're the, it's like, no, like white men. I mean, it's about coming together, like you were saying, Kristen, right? It's about all of us being together. But it feels really important to for me to state here now in this space, like this is not about vilifying white men. It's about the behaviors, it's about the programming, it's about the power and the oppressor mechanics and the power and power over. And it's, white men that have had the power for a long time. So it's the power dynamics that are the problem. Um, so I don't know. It just felt that was just really in my mind and I couldn't quite let it go. So it just felt important to say that here as part of this conversation.
Thanks for your vulnerability too, Babs.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and I think that's such an important point, is that it is the systems that are the continued problem. And we cannot help but be part of the systems because we are in them. There is epigenetics that are carrying them from one generation to another, to another, to another, and all sorts of things that we subconsciously absorb as the way to be. And then we are shaped as we come through life. Ultimately, it's often about survival. And it takes a level of consciousness and awareness and willingness to start to really look at that and deprogram ourselves. And so I feel like this space that we provide, that we call in, is a place for us to begin to unpack that and have these really uncomfortable, vulnerable conversations and call in what might it look like to heal this? What does it require from each of us? And what does that look like to move through this world choosing love in the face of abject hate, and being that stand for something else, for us each coming home to ourselves and finding each other. It's not easy. And again, it's not like any one person we are fighting. It is the system that generates and produces people who are this capable of leaving their humanity, forgetting it. And we all have that to some degree. So it starts here, right?
Yeah. It feels like what you were saying before, Babs, of coming back into our body, like humanity, coming back into like our full humanity. And for me, it's like what's been coming up a lot is like really letting like the light of our soul occupy our entire body so that we can be like transmission, so that our body temples can like do the work that we came here to do. There was something else, but I don't know if I must have gone somewhere else.
Yeah, like maybe remember our humanity. You know what comes to mind for me? I remember seeing a photograph and I don't remember where this was from or when it was from, but it was more current. Um, but there was a protest, counter protest situation going on, racially charged, and some black men, I think, had kind of cornered a white guy and were beating him. And a black woman stepped in and put her body over, there's a photograph of her with her body over this white guy to like try to stop the beating from happening. And like when we talk about humanity, like would I be able to do that if there were a black man being beaten by a group of white men? Would I be able to put my body there and just like know that it was wrong, like this should not be happening? And yeah, it's there's just so much deep to it, right? Like self-preservation and humanity butting heads a little bit, you know. I mean, this to me feels like a great place to go into a healing. How do you feel, either of you feel like there's more that wants to be presenced here, or do you want to?
No, I think that's why the other thing that I was thinking about flittered off because
Yep.
it's like,
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah. And I'm aware we are right at the hour, but we'll just, this is what I said at the beginning, right? Like, we want to just take some time to do this healing because that's really the most and important part of this. So, um, yeah.
I'm realizing that I think I actually do lose childcare in 15 minutes.
Okay.
My
So we'll wrap
my
up that now.
schedule
Yep.
changed a little bit, so I it's
Nope, no
unusual.
worries.
Like
It'll be.
I do have a step.
Perfect. Do either of you feel like sort of initiating and beginning this, or
Were you feeling called, Babs?
I wasn't necessarily, but I think I am actually because I can feel my voice kind of getting going. So, all right. So let's invite us all to, if it feels right for you, and again, this is honor your body, but if it feels right to you, go ahead and close your eyes. If not, then just let your eyes sort of soften and allow yourself to come into presence with your body in this moment. I was going to say after this conversation, but really still in the energy of the conversation, and just notice what's alive in your body right now. What are you noticing? There's no right or wrong. You may like go, I don't notice anything, and that's okay. Just notice that. Sometimes it may help if to just move your body a little bit and see, like, am I feeling any tension anywhere? Am I feeling like I want to just get up and leave? Am I feeling like, looking at my watch, thinking about what I'm making for dinner? Just notice um, where you're at right now. Bringing your attention to your breath, allowing your breath to slow down if that feels right, but without really controlling it. Just inviting a slowing down. And noticing you may hear my breath or the breath of Kristen or Clarissa, and just noticing the other humans that are right here with you in this space. We're very intentionally coming together here as humans. And the very fact that we're in this space together is an indicator of our desire for healing, for being part of something different, part of the humanity that we recognize that we share, part of the goodness. You feel the energy of those Buddhist monks, the walk for peace. That energy is moving through us too. As we just really allow ourselves here together to notice that your mind may be kind of chewing on something from the conversation, or there may be something that's really on your heart about this, or there may be some emotion that you feel about it all. Just really allowing yourself now to honor that, to witness that. That is a representation of your humanity. As we come together in this space with our hearts, feeding the energy of love, of care, of presence, of knowing that as humans, we're complex. We have a lot of aspects. We're kind of like diamonds or prisms, lots of facets reflecting different things. But we really now amplify and feed, as Abraham Lincoln called it, the better angels of our natures may those energies, those frequencies come alive. It's not about denying the baser aspects, if you will. Those are part of our humanity too. And we get to choose how we act. We get to choose what we say. May we feed and cultivate the energies of love, of acceptance, of holding, of capacity to hold the totality of human beings. And also to honor your sovereignty, your connection to your body, this beautiful vessel that carries your soul through the world and interacts with other humans and has all the experiences. It's really recognizing that part of the conversation we had earlier about that, about our bodies. The sovereignty of our bodies. And in this space here, as we're here together in this space, just sending and beaming so much love and power and capacity and holding support energy to Minnesota, beaming the energy of love, of being willing to put down the arms, of an opening of perception, of dropping of any hatreds or fear, really sending a healing balm to fear, to hatred, that it may transform and transmute into love, into softness. And may the better angels of all of our natures rise forth and be the leading and guiding energy in these times. And I feel complete. If either of you feel
I'm feeling really called to really presence the dueling emotions of rage and grief here. Honoring that rage is often wanting to show us where boundaries have been violated, where injustices have been wrought. And so really honoring that righteous rage that's trying to point us to what needs to be seen. And also really holding space for grief. That invitation to let our hearts crack open. That remembrance that grief is an expression of love because we cannot grieve that which we did not love. And so letting ourselves grieve is letting ourselves love on a deeper level. And really calling forth our highest self, anyone in our ancestry of the highest light, anyone that can really support us in coming back into right relationship with these big emotions of grief, with these big emotions of rage. Because as white folks, frankly, we have disconnected a lot from rage and from grief in order to survive these inhumane systems of oppression. And so part of our work is reclaiming our right to feel enraged in the face of injustice. Part of our work is reclaiming our right to feel grief at the loss of innocent life so unnecessarily. And so really honoring those feelings and really giving ourselves permission to come back into relationship with the medicine that those emotions can bring through. Honoring how capable we are to metabolize these big feelings, honoring how capable we are to find what is waiting for us. It's almost like there's this relief waiting on the other side of the release, of the recognition, of the honoring, of the allowing. We're finally really remembering here that our souls are rooting for us here. Our souls chose to incarnate in these white bodies right now for a reason, because we knew that we were capable of ushering in something new, of facing what hasn't been faced, and metabolizing what needs to be metabolized so it can be alchemized and transformed into courageous action, into sovereignty, into solidarity. And really honoring here that we can do this. We are so capable. We are so strong. And that we will do this. We are doing it right now. We're doing it right now. Yeah, it's done. Ooh, that feels complete for me.
Taking a deep breath in. Releasing anything that's ready to be released. There has been so much lost to these systems of oppression. There has been so much lost, incalculable damage. May this be the time where we find our way through, feeling what needs to be felt, sensing into what needs to be sensed, letting ourselves see the truth of what is with eyes wide open. As spirit pours into our nervous systems and holds us as we process that which we have not been willing to see, anchoring us into Mother Earth as we give these emotions to her, as we let her hold this with us, as we hold it with each other. Honoring that here we are in this precipice moment where things feel so tenuous, like we are balanced on the tip of a knife. And what if this is our invitation to find our wings, grab hands with each other, and leap? May we have the courage, the fortitude, the trust in ourselves, in our divine teams, in each other, to keep walking boldly forward one step at a time, even when we're unsure, even when we feel like we might be wrong, but we have something we need to speak out loud. We have something that needs to be heard, something that needs to be voiced and expressed, honoring that every one of these instances is an opportunity to practice and to learn how to be in right relationship with ourselves, with each other, with community, with the planet. Taking a deep breath in and release. Finding for a moment that light inside your heart space. Tuning into its presence, It might feel very small, or it might feel ready to overflow. Just honoring that that light never dies. That light is the representation of your soul. It is your connection to the divine. You get to choose when it's cranked up. And if you don't feel like you have access to that, that's okay too. Just inviting you into a practice of being in relationship with that light inside your heart. And as you do, imagine seeing that light in all of the beings in this country right now. Imagine seeing that light inside the hearts of our leaders. Imagine seeing that light inside the people who are violently oppressed right now. Imagine seeing that light inside the souls who have left this planet, their body. Imagine seeing that light in the hearts of people all across the globe, all around the world. Imagine seeing that light in the spirit of our ancestors. Feel that light begin to glow brighter and brighter and brighter. And as it does, it cleanses more and more of this dysfunction, more and more of this separation, more of the malice, more of the confusion, more of the fear, more of the trepidation, more of the distance, more of the misalignment within our souls. And offering this vision up for the creation that we are stepping into, that we are shaping with our choices. Letting it take wing, letting it percolate, expand, take root in the hearts of the people who could most use a reminder of their light. Of course, including ourselves at times. And taking a breath in, honoring our role in each and every moment of this lifetime. Blessings for each of us as we find our way. Taking one last moment here, placing your hand on your heart, one hand on your belly, connecting to this body, remembering you are in this body, thanking it for all it does. Calling your energy back into that body, back home to you. Releasing anything that doesn't serve, not just in this moment or anything that's not yours, but across all time, space, dimension. Releasing anything that is not yours. Thank you. I have no more need for you. Giving it back, returning to sender with love. Thanking our guides, thanking Mother Earth, thanking each other for this time. Beginning to move your body gently. Might be kind of wiggling, rolling your shoulders, shaking out your hands, your feet. And with one last conscious breath in, honoring this collective breath of humanity, and an exhale to release whatever's ready to go. Let yourself come back into the room. Blink your eyes back open. Notice your space. And thank you. Thank you.
Thank you both.
Yeah, that felt really needed.
We're here for it. Not always comfortable, but we are here.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. And I want to invite folks who've made it to this part of the recording, reach out to us, subscribe to our email list. We don't really know what will be like come of all these conversations, but our hope is to build some sort of community and facilitate change. and healing. So, if you've made it to this point, reach out to us, subscribe to the channel, get on our email list, because we really do want to start fostering these relationships and growing this. Now is the time.
Yeah. Comment on this video, and we'll read the comments and respond. And yeah, it's really important. And it's like when you find a group like this, right, or a community like this that's willing to have these conversations in this way, it's a really powerful anchor as we walk through this. So we welcome you and invite you to be part of it.
Yeah. Yeah. We can't do this alone.
No.
We're just three.
We're all in this together. Yeah. And I'm so grateful for you two ladies and walking this.
I'm so grateful.
Yeah. All right, everyone.
All right, friends. See you next
Thank
time.
you. Bye.